this guy named Alvin Howard is a good friend of ours. He lived in our neighborhood. He had been to Detroit. So he set up Mickey Stevenson.
Yeah, Mickey Stevenson.
Okay.
He set up an audition with us with Mickey Stevenson. So there wasn't no certain time in it. And so by the time we got, everybody got enough money to get a one-way ticket to Motown.
To Detroit, yeah.
Yeah, so we went up there, and when we got there, Mickey Stevenson was gone to L.A. to set up Motown. Motown was moving, in other words.
And they were in the process.
So we got interviewed by, at the time we didn't know who he was,
James
Dean, who co-author of What Becomes of a Broken Heart. He says, you guys, groups like you guys come a dime a dozen. He says, we can't stop writing for the Temptations and the Four Tops and write for the Masqueraders. In other words, he was telling us, hey man, you guys need songs. So we left out of there, and another guy that was sitting there listening, he said, don't you guys be discouraged. He said, go down to the 20 Grand Theater.
But that was after we left. He came running after us to let us know that, hey man, you cats are bad. Go.
Mm-hmm. So he says, why don't you go down to the 20 Grand tonight? They're having a record hop down there. He says, and let the jocks hear you and tell them you're from Texas, you know. So on the way down there, we ran into, we saw
a two-story
house that had been converted, big picture window and a microphone in the window. And we decided to stop, and it was Lou Beatty Records. So that's where we ended up. But we went on down to 20 Grand, and we told the jocks that we were from Texas, and he let us sing on the stage, man, and they threw money on there.
People were crazy, man.
They threw all kinds of money on there, so we had money then, right? So we went and but that's how we got to Detroit, and we ran into Fred Bridges, who the Brothers of
Soul,
right.
and he was the manager for the Four Tops.
Right.
Later on. But
anyway, what happened was when we went to Detroit, after we got there, we didn't know nobody, we didn't have no money, and we didn't have a place to stay. After we went to the 20 Grand, we got enough money to get in the YMCA, and Harold and Lee went and got the room, and we sneaked in. And what happened was, when we stopped at the Beat Records, was Ted
Harris.
Ted Harris, he was the engineer. And when we were singing, that man was crying. We had him crying, you know, because we was singing for our lives, man. He said, don't go nowhere. I said, well, we'll wait until Monday until Mr. Beatty gets back. You know, we didn't know that we couldn't leave. We in Detroit, don't know nobody, they got no way back home. We stayed in Detroit a year, and we never went hungry a day. When the people found out about us, they would, each one would take a day to feed us. I'm telling you, man, it was beautiful. God is good, and he always had his hands on the Masqueraders, because we never went hungry, never did want for anything. We just didn't have no money.
When the snow came, everybody ran.
Let me tell you what happened. Well, Harold and them got a job at Chrysler. I was in construction before we went to Detroit, so I was working on the outside. I'm up 3 stories up on a ladder outside painting the hotel where we stand in the basement. And by me being up on the ladder, I'm the first one that saw the snow, right? So I climbed that off the ladder, went to the room, packed my clothes, and called me a cat.
Gone. That's it.
And went to the airport. The next day they was snowed. David caught the bus from Detroit the next day. How long did it take him to get to
About a week. We made it back to Dallas, and so we decided that we needed some songs. We kind of had songwriting in us all the time, but we thought that, like the Temptations, the Four Tops, that they were going to write for us. But the guys said, hey, we're not going to write for, we're not going to stop writing for them and write for y'all. But they were already out there. But we started creating songs on. We did 3 songs together, and we did a couple of songs for Sam. Stax was hot, you know, Sam and Dave, Otis Redding, and all that. We even wrote a song for Otis Redding. So we was headed to Stax, but the same guy that had hooked us up with Mickey Stevenson told us, he says, look, he says, man, he says, the studio called American Studios got the #1 record in the country called The Letter. He says, why don't you stop by there before you go to Stax? And so we did. When we came to Memphis, we went down Thomas and Chelsea, and we found American Studios there, and we went around to the back door because the front door was locked. So we went around to the back, knocked on the door, and who opens the door but Bobby Womack? He said, hey, man. He says, yeah, we're the Masqueraders from Texas. He said, well, come on in. You know, him and Darryl Carter. Darryl was the engineer. He was kind of learning how to engineer there with Chips. So Bobby said, come on in, man. He said, and he said, let me hear what you got. He said, where y'all going? Then we headed to Stax, man, but we thought we'd stop by here and say, he said, look, he said, my name's Bobby Womack, and, you know, we didn't know him, you know. He said, and I played for Sam Cooke. He said, I even married his wife to help her take care of his publishing company. You know what I'm saying? So he said, okay, all right. So he says, look, he says, after he heard the songs, him and Darryl, he says, if you go over to Stax, you're going to get lost in the shuffle. There's too many artists over there already. He said, if you stay over here at American, I can help you. And he was sitting up there playing on his guitar, playing them beautiful chords. He said, well, you know, we decided. He said, well, so Darryl said, well, I'm going to call Chips. So Darryl called Chips' mama, and you know, Chips came. And he heard the song. He said, man, he says, y'all got a contract? I said, yeah, we got a contract in Detroit. He said, man, he said, if y'all go get your contract, he says, I'll put y'all in a suede Lincoln. We believed it, man. We got an old ragged car and took off to Detroit, man. Sucker broke.
Look at all the way back down to Memphis. Car broke down, and a truck driver out of Kentucky gave us a ride to Memphis.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So Sam,
white boy.
Yeah.
And back during this time,
that was not normal.
It was segregated in Memphis.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But he trusted us to
5 of us,
five black guys in the truck with him, and he it wasn't nothing but the Lord. You know what I'm saying?
Man,
I mean,
I'll tell you something else that happened. And this Harold and I was coming from Dallas. I didn't have a spare, so we had a flat.
Yeah.
Dude stopped out of nowhere, took us everywhere. So we finally got a tie. They put it on the rim, right? He brought us back to the car. He let us out. He left, and he disappeared. We didn't see no light or nothing. He was an angel.
Yeah, man.
Mm-hmm.
That happened. We've been blessed, man. God has been looking out for us. That's why I'm 74 years old. Harold is older than me.
I'm 76.
And we still here, man, and we singing.
You know,
we ain't playing.
He had a deal with Florence Greenberg of Scepter One.
Yeah.
He had when Ronnie Millsap was there too, and also Bobby Womack was cutting What Is This and Fly Me to the Moon and all of that. But anyway, Chips cut I Don't Want Nobody to Lead Me On and Sweet Loving Let's Face Facts on the other side. But it didn't go. You know, Florence liked it, and she put it out, but it did on Scepter One, but it didn't do what Chips thought. So he says, Tommy, he said, you take them. You know, Tommy Cosby.
Yeah.
So Tommy said, okay, you know, Tommy was a bass player. He's kind of quiet and good spirit. Every time we come to Tommy with a song, Tommy said, let's put it down. We go to Chips, before we go to Chips, Chips said,
I don't like that.
You know, Chips had certain things he wanted to hear. But Tommy, he received every song that we brought. I mean, even if it was a country song, we thought, Tommy, he said, let's put it down. At La Beat, we only had 2 tracks. 2 tracks. Put the vocals on and the music on. Yeah. But when we got to American, that was 8 tracks at first. You know, just 8 tracks. So we go in, put the rhythm down, the rhythm, and then the lead vocal would put a scratch vocal on. Then the background would come in, put it in, the lead would come back, and that was a good experience there at American. You know, all the guys, and it all the way up until Martin Luther King got killed. Once that happened, then everybody just kind of went their own way. You know.
Because I've read a lot about it. The climate here before King was shot was one of integration, for lack of a better. Like the soul music in Memphis was black and white working together.
But that was in the studio.
Right.
Yeah.
So you didn't feel like it was in the studio.
It was like everybody was together. I mean, it was
in the studio.
Harmony, man.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody was cool, you know, in the studio. But when that happened, when King got killed, then it just kind of all hell broke loose, and so, you know.
Before that, before Dr. King got killed, we had recorded. They ain't got to know nobody else.
Yeah.
They sent us home after Dr. King got killed because they said it was too dangerous for us to be there. But the thing about that was this. Before any of that happened, when we went to Memphis, they thought we were militants. They thought we were there to start trouble. The police used to follow us and take our pictures.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't lying. They wouldn't mess with us because they were afraid that if they messed with us, that all hell was going to break loose because they thought we were there to start trouble. We were so different from the people in Memphis.
Yeah, we kind of all had beards.
Really?
Yeah.
At the time.
We were so different from the people in Memphis. People used to stop their car and laugh at us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing about it was, wherever we went, we took all the women. We was in Jersey. We was in Jersey doing a show, and the chick said, "Ooh, real men."
Real men.
Real men.
Cause all the dudes in Jersey was just talk. Let me tell you one thing. We did Charlie Horner, right? I'm moving ahead, but we did Charlie Horner, and he did a thing for us on us, and well, that was Jersey.
Yeah.
Dude come from New York, gangster. So I don't anymore. It's like, oh, you know what I'm saying? I don't give a damn. He said, but I come to see you. He had a sidekick with him. He said, tell him. He said, yeah, he come to see y'all. We did Ella James at last.
Okay.
That man was crying, man. We had him crying.
We had already cut I Ain't Gotta Love Nobody.
Right.
It was just a demo, right? And so the Chips came in with this musician / disc jockey.
Yeah.
His name was Honeymoon Garner, and he came in to the studio. I guess he was planning on cutting something at the studio. So, and he heard I Ain't Gotta Love Nobody, and he says, man, that's a hit. You know, and Chip says, what did you say? He said, that's a hit. And so Chips told Tommy, finish it, Tommy. Right?
Yeah.
So right after that, this was coming up Christmas time. Right after that, then Martin Luther King came in, and you know, and
January.
we went back. January, February, March, April. He got killed. So
We were there.
They so much was going on. So Don told us, said, look, you guys got to go home. Said, I don't want anything to happen to you. So we left and went home. Went back to Dallas.
Back to Dallas.
About June or July, he called, he telegrammed.
Come quick.
He said, come quick, y'all have a hit in Chicago and New York and Detroit.
You got a little nobody else.
So we came back up and he got us a Don. Don Cruz was Chip's partner. He was a farmer out of Arkansas.
Plantation.
But he says, all right, he says, I'm gonna go and get you guys a car, and I want y'all to go down to Lansky Brothers and get you 3 uniforms and complete. He says, and he said, cause y'all gonna be on the move, right? So he got us a brand new 1968 Vista Cruise Oldsmobile wagon, and we was it. And we went down to Lansky Brothers and got fitted up and everything, got suited up, looking good, man. And we headed out to New York to the Apollo Theater. We got on a tour with Wilson Pickett and Jeannie C. Riley, and that was a good thing. And
when we did the Apollo, we were the low men on the totem pole.
Right.
They had us all the way at the top because we were the peons, you know.
Yeah.
Billy Stewart
the
was
dressing room he's talking about.
Look here, Billy
Right,
Stewart was the headliner, you know, and his thing was like this big in the marquee, and we about like that. So when time for us to rehearse with the band, the band leader said that, "Where are your lead sheets?" We said, "What's that?" Because we've been singing a cappella, right? So we don't have no lead sheets, man. They said, "Well, I can't play behind y'all if y'all ain't got lead sheets." He said, "But I tell you what, I know your music, and y'all go to the hotel and get situated. And when y'all come back tonight, I'll have the charts, and y'all going to sing."
Mhm.
So when we got there, we went upstairs, got dressed, come down, and said, when we got to the main floor, it was the Masqueraders. They was playing something, but it wasn't our music. It wasn't our song. So we out on the stage at the Apollo, and people sniggling, and they giggled, and they finna boo us off stage. I said, "Wait a minute, hold it. We don't need no music." And sung a cappella. And then nobody want to come on behind us the next night.
We did, we had a big hit with "I Ain't Gotta Love Nobody."
Yeah.
It was, it was going up. It hit in the Billboard Hot 100 with a bullet, 87. The very next week, it went to 77 with a bullet. And the very next week, 67 with a bullet. It was jumping.
Yeah.
He had, Larry Utah had two promoters on it,
Yeah.
on that song. He was going hot, man. And it jumped to number 57 with a bullet.
In the top 100.
Yeah.
In the top 100.
This is the pop.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
pop chart.
Yeah.
We was looking at top 40
Right.
music, and Chips got excited, and he called Larry. He said, "Larry," he says, "I want to put Masqueraders on my label on the next release." Yeah, average guy. I'm just an
Right.
average guy, right? That was it.
So Chip said, "I ain't fattening no frog for no snake."
So that hurt us right there. After average guy didn't do anything, he said, "Okay, Larry, you can have him back." But it was, this is when Tommy cut "How Big Is Big"
Yeah.
and "The Grass Is Green."
Mm-hmm.
Brotherhood. He cut some tough numbers on it, but Larry was, he was just discouraged.
Right.
But anyway, so we left America around 70, the early 70s. Went back home, did our own thing. We called ourselves starting our own record company. We're gonna produce our own sounds and stuff. Yeah, they weren't moving. So,
Yeah.
and the gigs, we weren't getting no gigs. After that, we come back home and we went to Houston, because Don Roby was, big back in the day. We knew that, and he was close to home, so we decided to go down to Houston and see if he could help us out.
Yeah.
Because we had started our own little record company and stuff. But Roby said, "Man," "I just sold my company to ABC
Yeah.
Records." He says, and I promised him that I wouldn't help nobody, I wouldn't get back in the business. Because he was getting ready to leave to go home. And he said, "But I tell you what," he says, "Isaac Hayes just signed a production deal with ABC." He said, "So we go back to Memphis." He said, "Look him up." So Bobby Womack was doing a gig in Dallas, right? And so we went to see Bobby Womack. He said, "Man," "I'm going to Memphis. Y'all want to go and ride with me?" So we rode with Bobby back to Memphis, and we ended up with we met one of Isaac's musicians. He was a musician, but he was a security guard
too. Yes.
And so Isaac was in Hawaii, and old Mickey came by in a he introduced, man, I'm with Isaac Hayes, so and so, so. I said, yeah. He said, I said, you think he would mind if we wrote some lyrics to one of his songs? And he says, I don't know, what's the name of it? I said, sure, I don't know. I said, but it plays on the radio and it's really pretty. He said, well, let me go get some albums and then we'll see. So he brought the albums back and I said, that's it. He said, all right. He went and got some beer and some wine and stuff, you know. He said, we're going to write this. So we sat down there and we started trying to figure it all out. And he said, wait a minute. I got the whole thing. He says, honey Ann's on the phone and she says the party's on. Does she know what this means? Now we're one. See, that was the name of the song. Yeah. Now we're one. Now we're one. So he saw the whole thing, right? Mm-hmm. And he said, so Sam had started singing with us then. Right. Sam took the lead and we put the background to it. And he said, let's go down to the studio and put it down. So he took us down to the studio and he got the track and put it on that console and we played it and we put the background song on it. And he called Isaac up. Hey, Bubba, listen to this. Isaac said, man, who in the hell is that? He said, that's the Masqueraders, man. I said, you talking about cut? I ain't got to love nobody and I'm just an average guy. He said, yeah. He said, I want them, man. Tell him I want them, man. And that's how we got with Isaac. Well, we was excited, man. So, man, you know, they called Isaac the Black Moses at the time. So,
he was the biggest thing in the world.
Yeah. He done got that chef reward, award and everything. Yeah. And he says, so we called Lee up to Lee. You know, Lee became a Muslim. He was through singing.
Oh, so he left the group at that time.
Yeah, that's where
Sam joined the group. Okay.
Yeah. He said, I said, hey, Lee says, man, I said, we just getting ready to sign up with Isaac Hayes. You know, he said, really? He said, I'm coming. But yeah, that was a big deal. We thought, oh man, Isaac, the Black Moses is gonna deliver us. Yeah. You know, he's gonna be the one to take us up. And he cut 2 great albums on us. Man. Yeah. And Traveling Man came out and was kicking butt and the very next and Masqueraders was moving around and very next year he went bankrupt. And for 30-some years, man, that good music laid around. Nobody heard it. They put it out a couple of years ago in UK. Yeah. Ace Records. We all went our own ways for a while because the kids were growing up. Sure. Our kids were growing up. We had to make money, to keep living. And so we all went one way. And I went to the post office. Tex, Sam started driving truck again. Tex started doing hair. And David was doing this. But we managed to get a gig on Beale Street. Mm. And every weekend, the 3 of us, it was...
What really happened was... They opened a mission for the Church of Scientology in Memphis. Lisa Marie Presley and Isaac were the benefactors. They were the ones that were
Scientologists. Okay.
Yeah. And I was going to church, and one of my church members was like a mom to Isaac, so she asked if we would do the show. Wasn't nobody would be in Harold. David was in Dallas, so we had to figure out a way to get David to Memphis. So we got him to Memphis, and we did the gig. We met Lisa Marie Presley. We had a song they called "He's the Father of Lisa Marie," and we sung that song to her, and she was crying, but she didn't jump on it. You know what I'm saying? Right. But that's how we got back together, and then we got the gig on Beale Street. Right. We got so tight on Beale Street from doing those gigs that it was 3 of us. Me, Harold, and David.
Oh, and David.
Okay. Sam was still driving the truck. Okay. But anyway, the harmony was so tight that the overtones from the harmony that we were making created a whole nother voice. You saw 3 people, but you heard 4 voices. So people would go back behind the stage to see if there was anybody back there. This is true, man.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah. But to bring it on up, so we did that for 10 years, sang on Beale Street. every weekend. I mean, we say except for when we got a gig.
Yeah.
In London, we went to Wales. They they see us down there and go, man, y'all down the Masqueraders. You know, well, people overseas, they knew about us.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Where in America, we were just peons.
Well,
over there, we were like.
Well, what happened was we didn't realize that the records that we were cutting in Detroit were popular in the UK.
I know.
You understand? We didn't find that out, man. And when we found it out, we had to say, what was the thing? That's the same thing. They spelled the name wrong. Right now, if you got a copy of the same thing, it's worth about $4,000.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, on the beat.
Original.
Yeah.
No. It was on Outlet.
Oh, on the one on your label.
Soultown.
Yeah.
Soultown.
Yeah.
Masqueraders. They had Masqueraders instead of Masqueraders.
Mm-hmm.
But see, we had that record when we went to Detroit, but it didn't.
Right. Yeah, the song, you mean? Yeah.
Right. It you know. It encouraged us, yeah.
Just like you find that record on Sam. You know, the English are,
I know.
They go anywhere to find a record, boy. And they were in Memphis looking for 45s. It was a record shop next door to my beauty salon. So they come in the record shop looking for old 45s, and the dude that owned the record shop had a picture, album cover of the Masqueraders on the wall.
Yeah.
So one of the cats from England looked on the wall and said, "The Masqueraders, my favorite group." And the cat says, "One next door." That's how God works.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm. That's how we got the gig over in England.
Yeah.
Three times we went over there.
Yeah.
After the kids got old.
But then he used to come through Memphis.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
still call ourselves together. But,
Yeah.
Right.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
But I done when Lee quit the group, decided he didn't want to sing anymore. That's when I just went on and started singing his songs, his lead on the songs and things like that.
We didn't want to do anything but sing.
Right.
Yeah.
We, in the neighborhood where we came up, you'd had people that were pimps and robbers and players, and they used to recruit the young guys to bring them up to give them their crap,
Right.
But we didn't want that.
You just
All we
wanna
wanted to do was sing. So that saved us.
Wait a minute. Let me expound on that now.
Sure.
See, Tex grew up in that environment, and I was in the service when all this was going on. So when I came, I knew, had my mind up, I made up what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. For the rest of my life, I wanted to sing. I had listened to all of the groups and Impressions, and I knew that we had that special something just like they did. But I didn't know all of the business but Tex said, well, it saved us. It saved him, because he was in that environment and he was, but he, like he said, he loved singing, and it kept him from being, caught up in that mess.
Right.
Sam, he came from the gospel group. So, but I came from. I knew when I got my discharge, I knew what I wanted to do. My brother told me, he said, Harold, he said, man, the police department is hiring down in Dallas. He said, man, they paying $10 an hour. So, that was a lot of money back in the day. And I was, by me coming out of the Marine Corps,
you could get that job.
I could get that job. So I didn't want to work for no police department. So listening to him, I said, okay. I said, yeah, let's go down there. So I went down and took the test and, passed it and everything. And I went back to do the physical, right? And the doctor said, Mr. Thomas, I'm sorry, but you failed the physical. You got a heart murmur, and so we won't be able to hire you. And I said, oh, thank you, God, to myself, right? Because I didn't want to work for them.
Yeah, right.
But see, I didn't know at the time that somebody was lying. Either I didn't have a heart murmur, or the Marine Corps had put me out on a clean bill of health.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it. I just knew.
Just want to get out of there.
Oh, yes. I said, oh, man, they didn't want to hire me. Cause
that was a close call.
Yeah, that was a close call. A solo artist, he got his own thing. I
Right.
mean, and he can be this way that. The harmony that we created, it bonded us.
Right. That's
Even though we disagreed on a lot of things, man. I mean, we start singing, we forget all about all of that.
Yeah.
It would leave. You know, we just love singing together. You know,
And
like
out of
that.
all the years that we've been together, we never fought.
Yeah, we never
touched.
Yeah, we might have argued or something,
But we never fought.
We never got into
We never
it.
touched one another.
We love that harmony, man. You know, and that's what saved us.
Yeah. Well, singing.
singing.
Yeah, yeah. We had kind of strayed away from singing for a minute, you know, for different reasons, and another in the last, coming up on the 50 years. David got sick.
Yeah.
That's, you know, he had Parkinson's, and so he left, went back to Dallas, and that's when Sam came in before he left. And so Sam eased back in with his guitar, you know, and he was playing guitar. Oh boy, could play guitar.
Yeah,
Son of a gun, man. He added to the.
You didn't tell me that. I'm gonna let you
I
play
know,
now.
man.
He ain't been playing.
Yeah, he was playing.
Alright, okay.
He
Yeah, I
was
used
playing.
to play.
Yeah, he used to play. He was playing his guitar, and so it was. Then it became Sam playing the guitar, me on the keyboard, Tex on the microphone. You know, he was kind of like the talker.
Yeah.
You know, and we had a good thing going. Pretty soon they kicked us out of Blues City cause Goose wanted rockabilly in there. He says this is a business matter, and you know. He says, but you know, we'd be the only club on Beale Street with rockabilly. First, he just kicked us back to 2 weekends a month, and then after another 2 or 3 years, he told us, man, we got to put rockabilly. So when he done that, then everybody had to go to work again.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we kind of quit singing, and all of a sudden, America's Got Talent came through. We thought for a minute, well, you know, they gonna consider us professional. They not gonna let us do it. But we weren't. We might have been professional, but we weren't about nothing. We didn't have no
Man,
popularity.
Right,
you
that's
know,
right.
we lost the best thing we had, which was the Isaac Hayes, those albums we cut with him. We decided to go. We said, let's go, man. So we put in for it, and we was kind of fretting whether they'd accept us or not, but they did. And we did. Change Gonna Come. I mean, we hadn't been singing for about 2 or 3 years. We just kind of messing around with each other, but we knew we could have Change Gonna Come. We hit that, man, and she said, wow. She says, I want somebody else to hear this. And so she said, come on, let's go down here. And she took us down and let somebody. She said, y'all got any music? I said, I got a CD, the track. You know, she said, well, give me the CD. She put that CD on, boy, and we showed it, tear it up then. And about 3 weeks later, they sent us some tickets and told us to come to LA.
Bottom line is, singing is like riding a bicycle. You never forget how.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I know.
We might have been apart, but we always had what we had. You know what I'm saying? When we got back together, it just like, we might not have had that many songs, but it was still tight. You know?
Yeah. When we hit America's Got Talent, we had Change Gonna Come. I mean, Sam had the lead, me and Tex had the background on it, so that wasn't no problem. But as far as being sharp, like when we was down on Beale Street every week,
everything,
Yeah.
it was different. We were really sharp then, you know.
Yeah.
We was just like that, but you know, we was kind of slow getting back together. But we did Change Gonna Come. We was sharp enough to hit it, to impress them.
Mm-hmm.
And Simon says, he says, let me hear y'all sing that a cappella.
No, what happened was they taped the show, right?
Yeah.
So when we sung Change Gonna Come, he thought the voice was on the track.
Oh.
They thought we was lip singing that.
Yeah, you understand? He thought the voice was on the track, so he didn't believe that we were singing. So he said, wait a minute. I want to hear y'all sing that song. We started singing
At last.
At Last. He said, not that one. I want to hear the one y'all just got through singing. And Sam hit it. He said, that's enough. we hit that harmony. He said, that's enough. He said, man.
He says, I tried to tell y'all, he said, talent don't have no age.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
And you know, because we had done already told him we were 70, you know, in our 70s, and then,
Yeah.
come on, these cats ain't gonna do nothing, man. But he absolutely is his word. We absolutely
love you guys.